The encounter. In a galaxy far from our own, there existed a notorious pirate named Captain Seraphina Starblaze. Her ship, the Crimson Tempest, glided effortlessly through the vastness of space, a vessel that had become a legend among the stars. With sleek lines and shimmering crimson sails, it struck fear into the hearts of traders and bounty hunters alike. Captain Seraphina, with her long flowing hair the color of molten gold and eyes that sparkled like the cosmos, was not just known for her fearsome reputation. She was also renowned for her cunning intellect and unmatched skill in combat. One fateful day, as the Crimson Tempest soared through the asteroid belt of the Elysian system, Seraphina's sharp gaze caught sight of a peculiar craft drifting aimlessly among the rocks. It was a small cargo ship, battered and worn, with the insignia of the Galactic Trade Alliance barely visible on its hull. The ship's distress signal flickered weakly, and her curiosity piqued. Was this a trap set by her enemies, or an opportunity waiting to be seized? Seraphina commanded her crew to prepare for a boarding. Her first mate, a rugged alien named Jaxar, with skin like emerald and a heart as fierce as his loyalty, readied the grappling hooks while the rest of the crew gathered their weapons. They approached the cargo ship cautiously, navigating the debris with skill and precision. As they neared, Seraphina could see the ship's crew, a ragtag group of humans, bruised but alive, clinging to hope amid their dire situation. "Captain, should we approach?" Jaxar asked, his voice a low growl. He was always the cautious one, but Seraphina trusted his instincts. "Of course, we can't leave them to their fate," she replied, though her mind raced with the possibilities of what this encounter might bring. Pirates could be merciless, but so could the void of space. As they boarded the ship, a young man named Ethan stepped forward, his face streaked with dirt, but his spirit unbroken. He was the ship's engineer, and he quickly explained their predicament. "We were ambushed by a rival pirate crew. They stripped us of our cargo and left us for dead. We were just trying to make it back to our home planet." Seraphina studied him, intrigued. His bravery was palpable, and despite the grime that clung to him, there was something admirable in his determination. "What cargo did they take?" she asked, her interest sharpening. Ethan hesitated. "We were transporting a rare mineral, licanium. It's highly valuable, more than you can imagine." He glanced around, aware of how precarious their situation was. "But it's not just about the money. Licanium has unique properties. It could power entire star systems or create technology beyond our comprehension." The allure of such a treasure was hard to resist. Seraphina's mind raced with plans. This could be a chance to solidify her power in the galaxy, not just as a pirate, but as a leader. "Then let's retrieve it," she declared, her voice echoing with authority. "Gather your crew and join mine. We'll take down the ones who betrayed you." Ethan's eyes widened with hope. "You would help us, but why?" "Because I can't resist a good challenge, and I admire your spirit. Besides, this could be fun," she replied with a smirk. "Now, what's the plan?" As they plotted their course, Seraphina couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this young engineer than met the eye. His resilience reminded her of her own struggles to rise to power, battling against a universe that often seemed determined to crush her. She felt a strange kinship with him, a connection that spurred her determination to succeed. The combined crews prepared for their mission, each member brimming with anticipation. Seraphina felt the excitement in the air as they set their sights on the pirate crew that had stolen the licanium. The Crimson Tempest surged forward, propelled by a newfound purpose and the promise of adventure. They entered the territories of the rival pirates, a dangerous region known as the Dread Expanse. Here, asteroid fields and pirate outposts dotted the landscape, each hiding threats and treasures alike. As they approached the enemy's base, a heavily fortified station floating amidst the rocks, Seraphina shared her strategy with Ethan and Jaxar. "Stealth will be our ally. We'll approach under the cover of the asteroids. Jaxar, you'll lead a distraction while Ethan and I sneak in. We'll take back what's rightfully yours, and then we'll see what this Lycanium can do. Jaxar grinned, baring his sharp teeth. I love a good distraction. The crew of the Crimson Tempest moved like shadows, slipping through the gaps in the rocky defenses of the enemy base. Seraphina felt her heart race, adrenaline surging as they drew closer to their goal. They could see the rival crew bustling about, unaware of the storm that was about to hit them. As they prepared to launch their assault, Seraphina turned to Ethan. Are you ready for this? He nodded, determination etched on his face. Let's show them what we're made of. With a fierce battle cry, Jaxar led his group into the fray, drawing the attention of the enemy. Meanwhile, Seraphina and Ethan slipped through a side entrance, navigating the dimly lit corridors of the enemy station. The atmosphere was thick with tension, each step echoing the heartbeat of their mission. Finally, they reached the cargo bay where the stolen Lycanium was kept. Seraphina's heart raced as she caught sight of the gleaming containers, stacked high, shimmering like stars in the dark. This was it, their prize. But as they prepared to take the cargo, a group of enemy pirates appeared, blocking their path. Their leader, a burly figure with a scar running down his cheek, laughed menacingly. Did you really think you could just waltz in here and take what's ours? Seraphina stepped forward, unafraid. We're not just here to take it. We're here to reclaim what you stole and teach you a lesson about crossing paths with the Crimson Tempest. The pirates charged, and a fierce battle erupted. Blasters fired, and chaos ensued as Seraphina fought alongside Ethan, their movements synchronized as they battled against overwhelming odds. Each strike of her blade and blast from her blaster felt like a dance, a rhythm of survival and determination. Despite the chaos, Seraphina couldn't help but glance at Ethan. He fought with a passion that mirrored her own, his ingenuity shining through as he used the environment to his advantage. Together, they pushed through the ranks of the rival pirates, reclaiming their ground with every move. As the battle raged on, Seraphina felt a fire ignite within her. They were not just fighting for the Lycanium, they were fighting for their place in the galaxy, for their stories to be written among the stars. With each victory, they carved a path not just for themselves, but for all who dared to dream of a better future. Just when it seemed they might be overwhelmed, Jaxar burst through the door, leading the remaining crew of the Crimson Tempest. We've got them on the run, he shouted, charging into the fray. With renewed vigor, Seraphina and Ethan joined forces with Jaxar, their combined strength proving unstoppable. The rival pirates faltered, their confidence shaken as they realized they were outmatched. In a final push, they overwhelmed the last of the enemies, securing victory and reclaiming the precious cargo. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, Seraphina stood among her crew, the Lycanium theirs once more. She turned to Ethan, a smile breaking across her face. We did it. This is just the beginning, you know. Ethan grinned back, relief washing over him. I never thought I'd be part of something like this. Thank you for believing in us. Believe in yourselves, Seraphina replied, her voice steady. We're just getting started. The galaxy has a way of testing us, but together we can face anything. With their newfound alliance forged in the heat of battle, Seraphina and Ethan prepared for the adventures that lay ahead. They had begun a journey that would change not just their lives, but the fate of the galaxy itself. As the Crimson Tempest set course for new horizons, the stars shimmered brightly overhead, promising endless possibilities. Little did they know that their encounter was just the first chapter in an epic tale that would challenge their ingenuity, resilience, and the very fabric of their understanding of what it meant to be human in a galaxy filled with wonders and dangers alike. The rising tension. With the precious Lycanium safely aboard the Crimson Tempest, Captain Seraphina Starblaze leaned against the ship's console, catching her breath. The thrill of victory pulsed through her veins, yet the echoes of the battle reminded her that this was merely the beginning. As she looked around at her crew, both seasoned pirates and newly allied humans, she felt a sense of camaraderie that had been absent for too long. They had fought together and won against the odds, but a lingering question hung in the air. What would come next? Captain, Jaxa said, breaking a momentary silence. His emerald skin glistened with sweat from the battle, but his eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. We've secured the Lycanium, but the Federation won't let this go unpunished. They're bound to come looking for us, especially since we took down one of their pirate rivals. Ethan stepped forward, his expression serious. Jaxa is right. The Galactic Trade Alliance has resources we can't ignore. They'll send more than just a few pirates after us. They'll deploy their entire fleet if they have to. Seraphina straightened, her heart pounding with the thrill of the challenge. Then we need to be prepared. I've never backed down from a fight, and I don't intend to start now. She glanced at the shimmering Lycanium crates stacked in the ship's hold. This mineral isn't just valuable, it's powerful. If we harness it correctly, we can turn the tide against anyone who stands in our way. Ethan nodded, the spark of inspiration lighting up his features. I have some ideas on how we can use the Lycanium to enhance the ship's systems. With the right modifications, we can improve our shields, boost our engines, and even create a weapon that could rival anything the Federation has. Now you're talking. Jaxa grinned, revealing his sharp teeth. Let's show them what we can do. I want to see the looks on their faces when we blast past their ships. Seraphina clapped her hands, rallying her crew's spirits. All right, everyone, let's get to work. We'll split into teams. Ethan, you and I will handle the engineering modifications. Jaxa, gather the crew for a training session. We need to hone our skills and prepare for the inevitable confrontation. As the crew dispersed, Seraphina felt a wave of determination wash over her. The Crimson Tempest was more than a ship. It was a symbol of their defiance against the oppressive powers of the galaxy. With every upgrade they made and every skill they honed, they would become a force to be reckoned with. The modifications begin. In the engineering bay, Ethan and Seraphina examined the Lycanium. The glowing crystals emitted a soft blue light, and as she reached out to touch one, she felt a strange connection, an energy that thrummed through her fingertips. What if we infuse the Lycanium into the ship's power core? She suggested. We could amplify the output significantly. Ethan's eyes widened. That could work. If we channel the Lycanium's energy correctly, we could enhance our shields to withstand heavier attacks and increase our weaponry's firing power. They set to work, dismantling sections of the power core and carefully integrating the Lycanium crystals into the system. As they worked side by side, Seraphina found herself impressed not only by Ethan's technical skills, but also by his unwavering determination. He was proving to be more than just a survivor. He was a visionary. Hours passed in a blur of energy and excitement. The ship hummed with life as they activated the new systems, testing the modifications. When they finally engaged the power core, a surge of energy pulsed through the Crimson Tempest, illuminating the entire engineering bay. Let's see what this baby can do, Seraphina said, a grin spreading across her face. She initiated a systems check, and the readings flooded the screens with promising numbers. We've done it, Ethan. This is incredible. Just wait until Jaxa and the crew finish their training, Ethan replied, his enthusiasm infectious. We'll be ready for anything the Federation throws at us. The training session. Meanwhile, Jaxa gathered the crew on the training deck, a spacious area designed for combat practice and drills. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as crew members filtered in, eager to refine their skills. Jaxa, always the charismatic leader, stood at the front, his stature imposing. Listen up, everyone, he called, his voice booming. We fought together, but we need to be stronger. The Federation won't rest until they capture us, and we need to show them what we're made of. Today, we train harder than ever. As Jaxa demonstrated various combat techniques, blaster maneuvers, hand-to-hand combat, and strategic positioning, the crew fell into a rhythm, mirroring his movements. They trained with purpose, sweat glistening on their brows, and determination etched into their features. Seraphina watched from the sidelines, pride swelling in her chest. These were not just pirates. They were a family, united in a common cause. Each strike and block was a testament to their resolve, a demonstration of their readiness to face whatever the galaxy had in store. Unexpected visitors. Just as the training session reached its peak, the ship's alarms blared, cutting through the camaraderie like a knife. Red lights flashed, casting eerie shadows on the walls. "Captain," a crew member shouted, rushing to Seraphina. "We're detecting multiple ships on our scanners. It's the Galactic Federation." Seraphina's heart raced as she glanced at the screen, the holographic display showing the approaching fleet. "Prepare for battle," she ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Jaxa, assemble the crew. Everyone, to your stations." The training session transformed into a flurry of activity as the crew scrambled to prepare for combat. Jaxa took charge, coordinating their positions and assigning roles. Seraphina moved to the bridge, her mind focused and clear. "Ethan, activate the new systems," she commanded as she settled into the captain's chair. "Let's show them what we're made of." Ethan worked furiously at the console, the lights flickering as the ship responded to his commands. "Shields are up. Weapons charged and ready," he shouted, excitement evident in his voice. As the Federation ships drew closer, Seraphina felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. This was the moment they had been preparing for, a test of everything they had fought for. She glanced at the crew, each face reflecting determination and courage. "Remember, we fight for each other and for our freedom. Let's show the galaxy that we are not to be underestimated," she rallied, her voice ringing with conviction. The battle begins. The Federation ships descended upon them like vultures, their imposing forms blotting out the stars. "They're hailing us," Ethan said, his brow furrowed as he monitored the communications. "Put them through," Seraphina ordered, crossing her arms as she faced the screen. The image of a stern officer appeared, his expression devoid of compassion. "Captain Seraphina Starblaze, you are surrounded. Surrender now, and you will not be harmed. Resist, and you will face the consequences." Seraphina met his gaze with defiance. "You think I would surrender to the likes of you? Not a chance. You have no idea who you are dealing with." The officer's face twisted in frustration. "Your arrogance will be your downfall, pirate. We will reclaim the Lycanium, and you will pay for your crimes." With a flick of her wrist, Seraphina cut the transmission. "Prepare for engagement. All hands, battle stations." The Crimson Tempest surged forward, weapons primed. As the first shots were fired, the crew fought with a fierce determination, their training coming to fruition. Blaster bolts illuminated the void, and the ship rocked under enemy fire, but Seraphina's heart burned with resolve. "Evasive maneuvers, Ethan," she shouted, gripping the controls tightly. "We need to outmaneuver them and create some distance." Ethan's fingers flew over the console as he adjusted their trajectory, initiating evasive maneuvers now. As the ship twisted and turned, Seraphina felt the adrenaline surge. The Crimson Tempest danced through the stars, evading the oncoming fire and retaliating with powerful blasts from their newly enhanced weapons. Each shot fired was a testament to their unity and strength. "Captain, their shields are down." Jaxa called from the weapons station. "We can take out their lead ship." "Do it," Seraphina commanded, her voice a battle cry. With precision, Jaxa fired, the blast hitting the enemy ship with a resounding impact. The vessel shuddered, spiraling out of control before erupting into a brilliant explosion. Cheers erupted from the crew, a wave of triumph washing over them. But the battle was far from over. More Federation ships poured in, their numbers overwhelming. The Crimson Tempest shook under the relentless barrage, but Seraphina held her ground, her spirit unyielding. "Stay focused, everyone. We fought too hard to back down now," she urged, rallying her crew as they pressed forward against the overwhelming odds. A new hope. In the midst of chaos, Seraphina's mind raced. She needed a new strategy, something bold and daring. Ethan, she called, can we use the Lycanium in a different way? Can we create a shockwave or something that might disable their ships? Ethan's eyes lit up. We could channel the energy into a concentrated pulse. It could disrupt their systems and buy us some time. Then let's do it, Seraphina shouted, feeling a surge of hope. Together, they initiated the process, the ship humming with energy as they prepared to unleash the Lycanium's power. Seraphina felt the tension in the air, a palpable electricity that ignited her resolve. On my mark, she instructed, her gaze fixed on the approaching fleet. 3, 2, 1, now. As the pulse surged forth, it radiated through the void, striking the nearest Federation ship. The vessel jolted violently, lights flickering as systems failed. One by one, enemy ships began to lose power, their crews scrambling in panic. Now's our chance. Let's move, Seraphina yelled, directing the Crimson Tempest toward the remaining ships. As they accelerated through the chaos, the crew fought with renewed vigor. They had seized the opportunity and were turning the tide of battle. The Federation ships, now in disarray, struggled to regroup. Keep pushing forward, Seraphina commanded, her heart pounding with exhilaration. We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for everyone who believes in freedom. With every move they made, they carved a path through the darkness, proving that they were more than just pirates. They were a beacon of hope, a testament to the strength of the human spirit against the forces that sought to control them. As the last of the Federation ships retreated, the crew erupted in cheers. The Crimson Tempest had emerged victorious, and they had forged an unbreakable bond through the fires of battle. Seraphina stood at the helm, a mix of pride and exhilaration coursing through her. We did it. We showed them that the spirit of freedom cannot be contained. With the Federation fleet scattered and their future uncertain, they set a course for the stars, ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited them. The galaxy was vast, and their journey had only just begun. Together, they would face new challenges, uncover hidden secrets, and write their own destinies among the stars. A new alliance. In the aftermath of their exhilarating victory over the Galactic Federation, the crew of the Crimson Tempest reveled in their newfound freedom. Laughter and cheers filled the ship as they celebrated their unlikely triumph, yet amid the jubilation, Captain Seraphina Starblaze felt a sense of urgency. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. As the ship glided through the stars, she gathered her crew in the main hall, their faces still flushed with adrenaline. Listen up, everyone, she called, commanding their attention. Today, we've shown the galaxy what we're capable of, but we need to think strategically. The Federation will regroup, and they won't hesitate to come after us again. Jaxar crossed his arms, his emerald skin shimmering under the overhead lights. So what's the plan, Captain? Do we lay low for a while or take the fight to them? Seraphina considered his words carefully. We need allies. If we want to stand against the Federation, we'll need more than just our crew. We need to form alliances with other groups that share our values, those who believe in freedom and independence. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle in. I have a few contacts scattered throughout the galaxy. Some might be interested in joining our cause. Ethan, still buzzing from the battle, leaned forward, his expression eager. I can help with that. I've heard of several factions that oppose the Federation. We could reach out to them, gauge their interest in an alliance. Great idea, Seraphina replied, her mind racing with possibilities. We'll need to act quickly, though. The Federation won't sit idle while we build a coalition against them. Let's split into teams. Ethan, you and I will head to the Zoreth system to contact the free traders. Jaxa, you take the crew to the Outer Rim to seek out the resistance. Everyone else, prepare the ship for departure. We leave in 1 hour. With the plan set, the crew sprang into action, each member filled with a renewed sense of purpose. Seraphina felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but she was determined to forge a future not just for herself and her crew, but for anyone who dared to defy the oppressive grasp of the Galactic Federation. Journey to the Zorath system. As the Crimson Tempest soared through the star-speckled void, Seraphina stood on the bridge alongside Ethan, who was busy monitoring their course. The ship hummed with energy, a testament to their recent upgrades. "We should arrive in the Zorath system within a few hours," Ethan announced, his voice filled with confidence. "Good. The free traders are a pragmatic bunch. If we can show them that our cause has merit, they might join us," Seraphina replied, her gaze fixed on the view screen. "They've been wary of the Federation ever since their last run-in with them." As they approached the Zorath system, the vibrant colors of its gas giants came into view, swirling with hues of blue and green. The atmosphere was thick with opportunity, but danger lurked beneath the surface. The free traders were known for their shrewdness, and Seraphina needed to be at the top of her game to win them over. Once they entered the system, they detected several small trade vessels navigating through the asteroid fields. "Looks like we found them," Ethan said, excitement creeping into his voice. "Shall I send a message?" "Absolutely. Let's introduce ourselves," Seraphina replied, a determined glint in her eyes. She felt the weight of responsibility resting on her shoulders, and she was ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. A dangerous meeting. The message was sent, and soon they received a response from a sleek trader ship named the Star Shadow. "You are cleared to dock," a voice crackled through the comms. "Approach with caution." Seraphina maneuvered the Crimson Tempest into position, and as they docked, she felt a knot of apprehension in her stomach. The free traders were known for their unpredictability. She turned to Ethan. "Stay sharp. We don't know what to expect." When they disembarked, the atmosphere of the Star Shadow was tense. A group of rugged traders stood waiting, their expressions a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. At the forefront was a tall woman with striking silver hair and a scar running across her cheek, a testament to a life of adventure and danger. "I'm Captain Lyra Valen. What brings you to our corner of the galaxy, pirate?" she said, her voice steady. "Captain Valen, it's a pleasure to meet you," Seraphina replied, extending her hand. "I'm Captain Seraphina Starblaze of the Crimson Tempest. We're here to discuss a potential alliance against the Galactic Federation." Lyra raised an eyebrow, skepticism evident in her eyes. "An alliance? You must know we don't take kindly to the Federation's authority, but pirates aren't exactly known for their trustworthiness either." "I understand your hesitation," Seraphina continued, holding Lyra's gaze. "But I assure you we're not like the others. We just fought against the Federation and won. Together, we can form a coalition that stands against their tyranny. With your resources and our skills, we could create a force strong enough to challenge them." Lyra crossed her arms, considering her words carefully. "And what's in it for us? We're traders, not soldiers. We value our independence." Seraphina took a deep breath, knowing she needed to appeal to Lyra's instincts as a captain and leader. "If you join us, you gain a powerful ally. The Federation will think twice before encroaching on your territory if they know we stand together. Plus, with our skills combined, we can protect your trade routes from piracy and oppression." Lyra regarded her thoughtfully, and after a tense moment she nodded. "You have my attention, Seraphina. I'll need to see this commitment in action before I make any decisions. What do you propose?" "Let's prove ourselves," Seraphina said, the challenge igniting her spirit. "Join us on a supply run to a nearby system that's been plagued by Federation patrols. We'll show you what we're capable of." Lyra smiled, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. "All right, let's see if you're worth the risk. But know this, if you betray us, you'll regret it." "Trust me, Captain. I have no intention of betraying anyone. We're in this together now," Seraphina replied, her voice steady. The supply run. The Crimson Tempest and the Star Shadow departed the Zorath system together, navigating through the asteroid fields toward a neighboring sector where reports indicated Federation patrols had been interfering with supply routes. As they flew, Seraphina and Lyra strategized, their two crews melding into one united front. Ethan and Lyra's first mate, a burly man named Kellen, worked closely to chart their course and gather intel on the Federation patrols. "We'll need to avoid direct confrontations," Kellen advised. "Our goal is to get in, grab the supplies, and get out before they even know we were there." Seraphina nodded, appreciating Kellen's tactical insight. "Agreed. We'll take the back routes and use the element of surprise to our advantage." As they approached the target system, the tension was palpable. The Crimson Tempest and the Star Shadow floated behind a cluster of asteroids, their sensors scanning the area for any signs of Federation activity. "There." Ethan pointed to a nearby station, the supplies they sought visible in the docking bay. "It looks like they're in the middle of loading. We can take them by surprise." "All right, let's move," Seraphina said, her heart racing with excitement and apprehension. "Kellen, lead the charge. We'll follow your lead." With their plan set, the ships glided into position, slipping between the asteroids toward the station. Seraphina's pulse quickened as they drew nearer, the adrenaline of the impending encounter coursing through her veins. This was not just a supply run, it was a chance to prove themselves and solidify their alliance. As they approached the docking bay, Seraphina felt a sense of purpose wash over her. They were more than just pirates. They were warriors standing up against oppression. The heist. Once they reached the docking bay, the crew prepared for action. Seraphina, Lyra, and Jaxa led the charge, while Ethan remained on the ship, ready to assist with navigation and provide cover if needed. With a burst of energy, they stormed into the docking bay, blasters raised. The few Federation personnel present were caught off guard, and chaos erupted as Seraphina's crew sprang into action. The sound of blaster fire echoed in the enclosed space, mingling with the shouts of confusion and fear from the startled Federation guards. "Secure the supplies," Seraphina shouted as she pushed forward, moving with the fluid grace of a seasoned warrior. She spotted crates stacked high, filled with essential goods, food, medical supplies, and equipment that would be invaluable for their growing alliance. Lyra fought beside her, expertly dispatching enemies with swift strikes and precise shots. "We need to be quick about this. Reinforcements will be on the way," she yelled over the noise. "Grab what you can. We're not leaving anything behind." Seraphina replied, adrenaline fueling her every move. As they worked together, the two crews synchronized their efforts, each member playing their part in the well-rehearsed dance of chaos and order. Suddenly, the blaring sirens of the station echoed through the air, signaling the arrival of reinforcements. "We've got company," Jaxa warned, firing at a group of Federation soldiers rushing in from the main entrance. "Ethan, we need a quick exit," Seraphina called into her communicator, the tension palpable. "Can you open the bay doors?" "On it," Ethan replied, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Just hold them off a little longer." With a fierce determination, Seraphina and her crew fought back against the incoming Federation soldiers, each blast and movement becoming more desperate as time slipped away. They were outnumbered, but the fire of rebellion burned bright in their hearts. A narrow escape. Just as the Federation soldiers began to encircle them, the docking bay doors whirred open, revealing the open space of the asteroid field beyond. "Now, everyone, back to the ship," Ethan shouted from the Crimson Tempest. Seraphina glanced around, her heart pounding. "Fall back. Retreat to the ship," she commanded, her voice carrying over the din of battle. With a mixture of urgency and adrenaline, the crew fell back toward the Crimson Tempest, firing at the pursuing soldiers as they made their escape. Lyra fought valiantly beside Seraphina, covering her as they navigated through the chaos. "Keep moving. We can't let them take us down," Seraphina urged, adrenaline surging through her veins. They reached the ship just as the last of their crew boarded. Jaxa slammed the hatch shut behind them, sealing them inside the safety of their vessel. "Ethan, get us out of here," Seraphina shouted. Ethan worked the controls, the ship's engines roaring to life as the Crimson Tempest shot out of the docking bay, leaving the stunned Federation soldiers behind. They soared into the open space, the stars stretching out before them like a vast canvas of opportunity. As they flew away from the station, Serafina felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had not only secured vital supplies, but also proven their strength and determination. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the seeds of an alliance had been sown. A strengthened bond. Once they were a safe distance from the station, Serafina turned to her crew, their faces flushed with the thrill of their escape. "We did it," she exclaimed, a smile breaking across her face. "We showed them that the Crimson Tempest and the Free Traders are a force to be reckoned with." Lura stepped forward, her expression one of genuine admiration. "You fought well, Serafina. I see now that you're more than just a pirate, you're a leader." Serafina felt a swell of pride at her words. "We're all leaders in our own right. Together, we can forge a new path." As they began unloading the supplies, the atmosphere aboard the Crimson Tempest shifted. There was laughter and camaraderie, a sense of unity that had been forged in the fires of battle. The crew members exchanged stories of their experiences, and the divide between pirates and traders began to fade. That night, under a canopy of stars, Serafina stood on the deck, gazing out at the endless expanse of space. This was a new beginning, not just for her, but for all those who dared to stand against tyranny. The battle had strengthened their resolve, and the bonds they formed would carry them through the trials ahead. As she reflected on their journey, a sense of hope filled her heart. The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers and opportunities alike, but together, they could carve out a place where freedom thrived. "We're ready for whatever comes next," she whispered to the stars, a promise to herself and her crew. "We will fight for our future, no matter the cost." And as the Crimson Tempest sailed onward, she knew that the next chapter in their adventure was just beginning. They were united by a common cause, and together they would face whatever challenges the galaxy had in store for them. The gathering storm. With the supplies safely aboard and the alliance with the Free Traders solidified, Captain Serafina Starblaze felt an exhilarating sense of momentum as the Crimson Tempest sailed through the star-speckled void. But even in the glow of recent victories, she sensed a looming storm on the horizon. The Galactic Federation would not take their loss lightly. Retaliation was imminent. As the ship traveled toward a rendezvous point with the Resistance in the Outer Rim, the crew busied themselves with their newfound resources. Ethan was leading engineering sessions to optimize their weapons and shields using the Lycanium, while Jaxar conducted combat drills to sharpen their skills. Yet, Serafina could see the flicker of anxiety in their eyes. The thrill of adventure was now intertwined with the reality of the conflict they had chosen. That evening, Serafina gathered her crew in the common area, where the atmosphere was thick with camaraderie but shadowed by apprehension. The space was adorned with remnants of their latest victory, crates of supplies stacked high, and a chart of their recent skirmishes spread across the table. "Listen up, everyone," Serafina called, drawing their attention. "We've accomplished much in a short time, but we must prepare for what lies ahead. The Federation will retaliate, and we need to be ready." Jaxar nodded, his arms crossed. "What's our next move, Captain? We can't just sit here and wait for them to come for us." "I propose we take the fight to them," Serafina replied, her voice steady and determined. "We have the upper hand now, and we can strike at one of their key supply routes. If we can disrupt their operations, it will send a message that we won't be intimidated." The crew exchanged glances, the weight of her words settling in. "That sounds dangerous," Etham cautioned, concern etching his features. "They'll be expecting a response. We'll need a solid plan." "Agreed," Serafina acknowledged. "But if we hit them hard and fast, we can throw them off balance. We'll rendezvous with the Resistance and gain their support. They face the Federation's wrath and know their tactics." Laura Vallon, now a crucial part of their team, leaned forward, her eyes glinting with determination. I know the Resistance has suffered under the Federation's oppression. If we present them with a bold plan, they'll likely rally behind us. But we need to be cautious. They've lost many fighters and can't afford more casualties. Serafina nodded. We'll conduct reconnaissance before launching any attack. If we can gather intel on their supply routes and troop movements, we'll be better equipped for the confrontation. The meeting with the Resistance. The next day, they arrived at the designated rendezvous point, a small, secluded moon hidden within a cluster of asteroids. It was here that the Resistance had established a temporary base, shrouded in secrecy to evade the Federation's watchful eyes. As they approached the moon, Serafina felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The Resistance was known for their fierce independence and mistrust of outsiders, and she knew gaining their cooperation wouldn't be easy. The Crimson Tempest landed smoothly on the moon's rocky surface, and Serafina gathered her crew once more. Remember, we're here to form an alliance, not to impose ourselves. Let's show them that we're united in our cause against the Federation. They stepped out of the ship and were met by a group of wary Resistance fighters, their faces hardened by years of conflict. At the forefront was Commander Soren, a tall figure with weathered skin and a piercing gaze. "Who are you, and what do you want?" he demanded, suspicion evident in his voice. "I'm Captain Serafina Starblaze," she replied, projecting confidence. "We come from the Crimson Tempest, and we're here to propose an alliance. We recently took down a Federation pirate crew, and we believe that together we can strike a significant blow against the Federation's supply routes." Soren studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. "You expect us to trust pirates? Many of my men have lost everything to your kind." "We're not just pirates," Serafina insisted, her voice steady. "We're fighting for freedom, just like you. The Federation seeks to control us all, and they will stop at nothing to maintain their power. We have the skills and resources to make a difference. We need your help." At her words, murmurs spread among the Resistance fighters. Soren's gaze softened slightly, though doubt still lingered. "What proof do you have of your intentions?" "We've brought supplies and resources to support your efforts," Serafina replied, gesturing to the Crimson Tempest. "And we're willing to share the Lycanium we acquired to enhance your weaponry. Together, we can become a formidable force." Soren paused, weighing her words. Finally, he spoke. "If you truly wish to help us, we'll need to discuss your strategy in detail. Follow me." He turned, leading them toward the heart of the base, where a tactical command room awaited. Formulating the plan. Inside the command room, the atmosphere shifted from suspicion to cautious curiosity. A large holographic map of the nearby systems flickered to life, displaying the Federation's supply routes and patrol patterns. Ethan, who had been watching closely, stepped forward. "We can see their movements here," he pointed at the map. "If we strike this route at precisely the right moment, we could cripple their supply chain and buy ourselves time." Laura leaned over the map, her brow furrowed in thought. "But we need to make sure we're not walking into a trap. If they anticipate our movements, we could be outnumbered before we even arrive." Serafina considered this, her mind racing. What if we create a diversion? We can send a smaller team to one of their less guarded supply routes to draw their attention, while our main force strikes another, more critical route. "Clever," Soren replied, nodding. "We can have a group of our best fighters create chaos at one of their refueling stations, while the Crimson Tempest takes out the main supply ship. It'll keep them guessing." As they worked together, the lines between pirate and Resistance began to blur, a sense of shared purpose knitting them closer together. Plans were drawn, tactics were discussed, and the air buzzed with a newfound energy. The calm before the storm. As night fell over the moon, Serafina stood outside the command room, looking up at the stars that dotted the inky sky. The moon's surface was quiet, but within her heart, a storm of emotions raged. She felt the weight of leadership pressing upon her. The choices they made now could change the fate of many. "Captain," Ethan said, stepping beside her. Are you sure about this? We're taking a huge risk. If the Federation finds out. Serafina cut him off gently. I know the risks, Ethan, but if we don't act now, we give them the upper hand. We have the opportunity to strike a meaningful blow against oppression. We can't let fear hold us back. Ethan nodded, though uncertainty lingered in his eyes. I just hope we're ready for whatever comes next. We will be, Serafina assured him, her voice steady. We've trained for this, and we have each other. No matter what happens, we face it together. As the hours passed, the crew prepared for their mission, gathering supplies, munitions, and strategies for the coming confrontation. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation and trepidation. Everyone understood the stakes. The assault. At dawn, the combined forces of the Crimson Tempest and the Resistance fighters launched their assault. The ships took to the sky, gliding silently through the void toward the designated Federation supply routes. Serafina felt a surge of adrenaline as the crew moved with purpose, ready to face the challenges ahead. Remember, stick to the plan. She reminded everyone as they approached their target. Stay sharp, communicate, and above all, trust each other. As they neared the Federation supply ship, Serafina felt the weight of expectation settle over her like a cloak. This was their moment, a chance to prove themselves, to show that they were more than just a Rakta group of outlaws. They were fighting for something greater. The Crimson Tempest maneuvered into position, and Jaxa took the helm, guiding the ship with practiced precision. We're in position, Captain. Just give the word. On my mark, Serafina replied, her heart racing as she watched the supply ship loom larger on the view screen. The Resistance fighters waited in their own vessels, ready to engage the enemy. She counted down in her mind, feeling the anticipation build. 3, 2, 1, now. The Crimson Tempest opened fire, blaster bolts streaking through the void, striking the supply ship with pinpoint accuracy. The Federation vessel erupted in chaos as alarms blared, and the crew scrambled to respond. Target their engines, Serafina shouted, her voice rising above the din. We can't let them escape. As they engaged the enemy, the atmosphere shifted from the calm of planning to the chaos of battle. Blaster fire lit up the darkness, and the Resistance fighters joined the fray, providing support and covering fire. A turning tide. The battle raged on, and Serafina fought alongside her crew, the thrill of combat surging through her veins. She moved with grace and determination, firing her blaster with precision and shouting orders as they pushed forward. But the Federation was not without its own strength. Reinforcements arrived quickly, their ships swarming toward the conflict. The tide of battle began to shift, and Serafina's heart sank as she realized they were outnumbered. Captain, Ethan shouted, urgency in his voice. We need to retreat. We're being overwhelmed. Not yet, Serafina yelled, refusing to back down. We can't let them win. We have to hold the line. With renewed determination, she rallied her crew, pushing forward against the odds. We're fighting for our freedom, for every soul oppressed by the Federation. As the battle continued, the Crimson Tempest took heavy fire, the shields flickering under the onslaught. Jaxa expertly maneuvered the ship, evading incoming blasts and retaliating with precision strikes. Yet, the numbers were against them. Just when it seemed they would be overwhelmed, Serafina felt a surge of hope. A group of Resistance fighters flanked the enemy, drawing their fire and creating an opening for them to push forward. Now's our chance, she shouted. They surged forward, firing at the enemy vessels as they created a gap in the Federation's line. Serafina's heart raced as they fought their way toward the supply ship, determination etched on every face around her. Victory at a cost, with a final push, they breached the defenses of the supply ship. Serafina led the charge, her blaster raised, adrenaline surging as they fought their way through the enemy's ranks. Secure the ship, she commanded, her voice strong and unwavering. We can't let them escape. The Resistance fighters fought valiantly, pushing deeper into the vessel. As they pressed on, Seraphina felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. They were on the brink of victory, but danger still lurked around every corner. Suddenly, the alarms of the supply ship blared, signaling their impending self-destruction. "We have to get out of here," Ethan shouted, urgency in his voice. "Fall back," Seraphina ordered, leading the crew as they fought their way back toward the Crimson Tempest. But the enemy was regrouping, and the odds were shifting once more. As they neared the exit, a Federation officer emerged, weapon raised, determination etched on his face. "You'll pay for this," he shouted, taking aim. In that instant, Seraphina acted instinctively, pushing one of her crew members aside as a blaster bolt rang out. The shot struck her shoulder, and pain erupted as she fell to the ground. "Captain," Jaxa roared, turning to confront the officer. But before he could engage, the remaining resistance fighters swiftly dispatched the threat. Ethan rushed to her side, panic in his eyes. "Seraphina, no. We need to get you back to the ship." "I'm fine," she gasped, gritting her teeth against the pain. "We have to. Now." Ethan insisted, lifting her up and supporting her as they stumbled back toward the Crimson Tempest. The ship was their only chance of escape, and the countdown to detonation was echoing in their ears. A hard-won escape. They made it back to the ship just as the supply vessel shuddered under the strain of its impending destruction. "Get us out of here," Seraphina yelled, her voice hoarse as she leaned against Ethan for support. Jaxa piloted the ship with precision, navigating through the chaos of battle and escaping the blast radius just as the supply ship erupted in a brilliant explosion. The shockwave rocked the Crimson Tempest, but they had made it. As they soared away from the destruction, the crew erupted into cheers, their voices mingling with the exhilaration of survival. But as the adrenaline faded, Seraphina felt the weight of her injury and the reality of their battle settled over her. "Captain, we need to tend to that wound," Ethan urged, his expression filled with concern as he guided her to a seat. "I'm fine," she insisted, though she could feel the warmth of blood seeping through her clothing. "We need to assess our losses and prepare for what's next." "Let me help you," Ethan replied gently, his hands shaking as he retrieved the medkit. "You can't lead us if you're injured." With a reluctant nod, Seraphina allowed him to bandage her shoulder, the pain sharp but manageable. "Thank you," she said, her voice softer now. "I couldn't have done this without you." As the crew regrouped, they assessed their injuries and losses. The battle had taken its toll, but they had struck a significant blow against the Federation. "We did it," Jaxa declared, pride shining in his eyes. "We faced the odds and lived to tell the tale." Seraphina took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their victory. "Yes, but we must remain vigilant. The Federation won't stop until they hunt us down. We need to use its momentum to build our alliance further." Building the coalition. As the Crimson Tempest continued its journey, Seraphina and her crew began to strategize their next moves. They needed to solidify their alliances and prepare for the inevitable conflict that lay ahead. Gathering in the ship's common area, Seraphina addressed her crew. "We've proven ourselves in battle, and we must capitalize on that. We'll reach out to more factions and rally support for our cause. We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for everyone oppressed by the Federation." Ethan, still recovering from the tension of the previous battle, nodded in agreement. "We can use the Lycanium to enhance our weaponry and provide resources for other factions. We need to show them that joining us is a viable option." Lura chimed in, her voice strong and resolute. "I have contacts among the outer colonies. I can reach out to them and spread the word about our victories. If we can create a network of support, we might just stand a chance." Seraphina felt a surge of hope at the prospect. "Let's make it happen. We'll send out messages to every ally we can find. Together we can become a force to be reckoned with." With renewed determination, they set to work. The Crimson Tempest sailed through the stars, leaving the chaos of battle behind as they prepared for the challenges ahead. Seraphina knew that they were on the cusp of something monumental. Their alliance had the potential to change the fate of the galaxy. The winds of change. As they ventured deeper into the galaxy, the Crimson Tempest became a beacon of hope for those who sought freedom from the oppressive grip of the Federation. Messages were sent, alliances forged, and stories of their bravery spread like wildfire among the stars. The crew worked tirelessly, each member contributing their skills to strengthen their coalition. Ethan spent countless hours in the engineering bay, perfecting the enhancements to their weapons and shields. JAXA led combat drills to prepare their fighters for any confrontations that might arise. As the days turned into weeks, their efforts began to bear fruit. Allies began to respond, some offering resources, others pledging their fighters to join the cause. The resistance fighters brought in valuable intel, while the free traders shared their knowledge of the galaxy's trade routes and hidden resources. Seraphina felt the weight of her responsibility grow, but she also felt the thrill of possibility. They were no longer just a group of pirates. They were becoming a movement, a force that could stand up to the Federation's tyranny. But as their coalition grew stronger, so did the Federation's resolve. Seraphina knew they were likely monitoring their movements, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. The calm before the storm was palpable, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being hunted. An unwelcome visitor. One evening, as the crew gathered for a briefing, the ship's alarms blared, cutting through the air like a knife. "Captain, we're detecting an incoming ship," Ethan shouted from the control panel, panic rising in his voice. "Who is it?" Seraphina demanded, her heart racing. "Federation patrol ship, coming in fast," he replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "They must have tracked us." "Battle stations, everyone, to your positions," Seraphina commanded, adrenaline surging through her. They had prepared for this moment, but facing the Federation head-on would test their resolve like never before. As the Crimson Tempest readied for combat, Seraphina felt a mix of fear and determination. They had fought hard for their freedom, and she wouldn't let the Federation take that away. The ship rocked as blaster fire erupted from the Federation vessel, but JAXA expertly maneuvered the Crimson Tempest, evading the incoming shots. "Return fire," Seraphina shouted, her heart pounding as they engaged in a fierce battle. The edge of war. The tension in the cockpit of the Crimson Tempest was palpable as the crew fought fiercely against the incoming Federation patrol ship. Blaster fire illuminated the void outside, casting shadows across the faces of Seraphina and her crew. They had faced many challenges together, but this battle felt different. It was a test of their resolve and unity. "Steady," Seraphina called out, gripping the armrest of her captain's chair. "We need to outmaneuver them. JAXA, keep our shields angled. Ethan, prepare to fire on my command." The ship shook violently as another round of blaster fire struck the shields, and the crew braced themselves against the impacts. JAXA's fingers danced over the controls, steering the Crimson Tempest deftly through the barrage. "They're relentless," he growled, determination etched on his face. "But they won't take us down without a fight." "We have to break through their defenses," Seraphina shouted, her heart racing. "Ethan, ready the rear cannon. When I give the signal, fire at will." "Got it," Ethan replied, sweat beading on his forehead as he worked frantically at his station. The ship shuddered again, but he didn't falter, his focus unwavering. As they engaged in a deadly game of cat and mouse, Seraphina felt the weight of her crew's lives resting on her shoulders. They had forged something beautiful from the chaos, a coalition that stood for freedom and independence. But now, the Federation was determined to crush that spark before it could ignite a full-blown rebellion. "Now," Seraphina commanded, her voice sharp as she pointed toward the enemy vessel. "Fire." The Crimson Tempest unleashed a torrent of fire from its cannons, the blasts tearing through the void. The shots struck the Federation ship with pinpoint accuracy, causing it to shudder and lose its forward momentum. "Direct hit," Ethan exclaimed, exhilaration flooding his voice. "Their shields are weakening." press the attack," Serafina urged, feeling a rush of adrenaline. "We can't let them regroup." With renewed determination, they pressed forward, focusing their fire on the enemy's weapon systems. The Federation ship struggled to maintain its offensive, its crew scrambling to regain control. Serafina could see the enemy's desperation through the viewscreen as they attempted to reposition, but it was too late. A hard-won victory. Just as the Federation ship prepared to fire once more, Serafina seized the opportunity. "One more shot. Hit their engines," she yelled, the words bursting forth with urgency. The crew fired again, the energy from their cannons slamming into the enemy's engines with a deafening roar. The ship bucked violently before erupting in a fiery explosion, sending debris scattering across the starry expanse. "Yeah, we did it," Jack whooped, throwing his arms up in triumph. The crew erupted into cheers, their victory ringing out against the backdrop of the universe. "Let's not celebrate just yet," Serafina cautioned, her eyes scanning the surrounding area for any sign of further threats. "They may have sent a distress signal before we took them out." Ethan's expression shifted from excitement to concern. "We need to move quickly. The Federation will send reinforcements if they realize we're here." "Agreed," Serafina replied, her heart pounding with the thrill of their recent victory, but also with the awareness of their precarious position. "Set a course for the outer rim. We need to regroup with the Resistance and discuss our next move." As they flew away from the remnants of the Federation ship, Serafina felt a mixture of relief and determination. They had proven their mettle in battle, but the fight was far from over. Allies in the shadows. Upon reaching the outer rim, they docked at a hidden base used by the Resistance. It was a small, unassuming facility built into the side of a barren moon, concealed from prying eyes. The atmosphere buzzed with activity as Resistance fighters moved in and out, preparing for their next moves against the Federation. Serafina gathered her crew and the Resistance leaders in a large meeting room, the air thick with anticipation. Maps and data flickered on screens, detailing the current status of the Federation's operations across the galaxy. "We've made significant progress in disrupting their supply lines," Soren, the commander of the Resistance, began, his voice steady and commanding. "But their forces are still strong. We need to strike at a time and place that will catch them off guard." Serafina nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We have to use our recent victory to rally more support. Word of our success against the Federation ship could bring others to our cause." Lyra chimed in, her voice resolute. "I can reach out to our contacts in nearby systems. We need to amplify our message. If we can inspire others to join us, we can create a real force against the Federation." "Excellent," Serafina agreed. "And we must also prepare for retaliation. The Federation won't take our disruptions lightly." As they continued to strategize, Serafina felt a sense of camaraderie developing among the diverse group of fighters. They were no longer just a collection of pirates and rebels. They were part of something larger, a movement for freedom that spanned across the galaxy. A message of unity. In the following days, Serafina and her crew worked tirelessly alongside the Resistance to coordinate their efforts. They sent out messages, sharing news of their victory and calling for unity among those who sought to stand against the Federation. Ethan spent hours crafting a message that highlighted their success, their determination, and the strength of their coalition. It was a rallying cry that spoke to the hearts of those who felt oppressed and powerless. "Together, we can be more than just a thorn in their side," Serafina urged as she helped Ethan refine the message. "We can be a force that changes the tide of this war." As the messages spread, responses began to trickle in. Factions from across the galaxy expressed their support, offering resources, fighters, and invaluable intelligence on the Federation's movements. But with each passing day, Serafina couldn't shake the feeling that the Federation was watching. She sensed a growing tension in the air, as if the universe was holding its breath in anticipation of what would come next. An unexpected visitor. One evening, as the crew gathered in the common area to discuss their progress, the ship's alarms blared again, startling them from their discussions. "Captain, incoming transmission," Ethan shouted, urgency lacing his voice. On screen, Serafina ordered, feeling a mix of dread and anticipation. The screen flickered to life, revealing a familiar face, Commander Soren. His expression was grave, and Serafina felt her heart sink. "Captain Starblaze, we have a situation," he said, his voice tight with tension. "The Federation has launched a full-scale operation to hunt us down. They've mobilized their forces and are targeting systems known for harboring rebels." "What do we do?" Jaxa asked, the concern evident in his tone. "We need to prepare for an all-out assault," Soren replied, his eyes blazing with determination. "We cannot allow them to break our spirit. We must fortify our defenses and plan a counter-strike." Serafina's mind raced. "Then let's take the fight to them. We need to show them that we will not back down." A plan of action. Over the next few days, the atmosphere in the base shifted from one of uncertainty to determination. Serafina, Soren, Lyra, and the crew of the Crimson Tempest formulated a bold plan to strike at the heart of the Federation's operations. They would target one of the key command centers responsible for coordinating their operations against rebel factions. If they could disrupt the command structure, it would sow chaos among the Federation's ranks. Serafina gathered her crew in the main briefing room, the walls adorned with maps and data from the Resistance. "This is it, everyone," she said, her voice steady and filled with conviction. "We've trained for this moment, and we know what's at stake. If we can infiltrate this command center and take it out, we'll cripple their ability to coordinate their forces." Ethan nodded, his eyes filled with resolve. "We'll use the element of surprise to our advantage. If we move quickly and efficiently, we can take them off guard." Jaxa's expression hardened with determination. "I'll lead the ground team. We'll breach their defenses and create a distraction." Lyra stepped forward, her voice resolute. "I'll coordinate with the Resistance fighters to provide backup. Together, we'll make sure we're ready for whatever they throw at us." With their plan in place, the crew sprang into action, preparing for the imminent battle. Serafina felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration coursing through her veins. This was the moment they had been working toward, a chance to strike a blow against the Federation and assert their power. The calm before the storm. As the Crimson Tempest soared through the stars toward their target, Serafina stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the viewscreen. The stars seemed to blur into streaks of light as they traveled, a reminder of the uncertainty that lay ahead. "Are you ready for this?" Ethan asked, stepping beside her. His eyes held a mixture of concern and determination. "As ready as we'll ever be," she replied, her heart racing. "We fought hard for our freedom, and now it's time to show the galaxy that we won't back down." The crew gathered for one final briefing, the air thick with anticipation. Serafina's heart swelled with pride as she looked at the faces of her crew, each one filled with resolve and determination. They were more than just a crew. They were a family united in their fight against oppression. "Remember why we're here," she said, her voice steady. "We're fighting for our freedom and the freedom of those who cannot fight for themselves. No matter what happens, we stand together." With those words, they set their course for the Federation Command Center, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. The time had come to strike back, and together, they would fight for a future where freedom reigned.